British soldiers did this for German prisoners, December 1944. In the middle of one of the bloodiest battles of World War II, British soldiers did something unthinkable. They made tea for the enemy. The winter of 1944 was brutal. Snow buried the forests of the Ardennes. Temperatures dropped below freezing. This was the beginning of the Battle of the Bulge, Hitler's last desperate gamble. German forces launched a surprise attack against Allied lines, including British units supporting American troops. Chaos followed. Columns of German soldiers advanced through fog and snow, clashing with exhausted Allied defenders. But not every encounter ended in bloodshed. Somewhere along the front, a small group of German soldiers became isolated. Outnumbered, freezing, and low on ammunition, they surrendered to British troops. These Germans were no longer enemies in that moment. They were prisoners of war, cold, hungry, and human. The British soldiers faced a choice. These men had been trying to kill them hours earlier. Now they stood shivering, many barely able to speak from the cold. So the British did something simple and extraordinary. They brewed tea. Tea wasn't just a drink. It was British identity. In the trenches, in the cold, in the chaos of World War II, tea was comfort, routine, sanity. And now, it was shared with the enemy. The British handed mugs to their German prisoners. Steam rose into the freezing air. For a brief moment, the war paused. No shouting. No gunfire. Just men warming their hands around cups of tea. This wasn't an isolated mindset. British forces were bound by the rules of the Geneva Convention, which required humane treatment of prisoners of war. But what happened here went beyond obligation. It was empathy. Many German soldiers in the Ardennes were young, exhausted, and poorly supplied. Some had been marching for days through snow with little food. Their grand offensive was already beginning to fail. The British soldiers understood something simple. War forces men to fight, but it doesn't erase their humanity. Moments like this echoed earlier in the war. Back in 1914, during the Christmas Truce, British and German soldiers had met in no man's land, sharing food, singing carols, even playing football. By World War II, such moments were rare, but not impossible. The Battle of the Bulge would go on to become one of the deadliest battles for Allied forces. Over 100,000 casualties. Thousands dead in the freezing cold. Yet in the middle of that destruction, there were still moments of quiet humanity. For the German prisoners, that cup of tea may have been the first warmth they felt in days. For the British soldiers, it was something deeper. A reminder that even in war, they could choose who they were. They met as enemies. They paused as humans. In a war defined by destruction, sometimes the smallest act, a cup of tea, became the greatest act of all.